Acolyte of Chayula was buffed in many ways in order to get from least played ascendancy to a most played one. From now on, it get a new skill that will allow all chaos damage to ignite, shock, and freeze, changing between each of them every 2 seconds. Grasp of the Void will leave behind chaotic illusions that will explode with darkness, dealing damage to the enemies inside. And most importantly, changes to Ravenous Doubt's Notable will grant you an immunity to volatility damage, which is incredibly powerful. Also, given the fact that you can now leech with chaos damage, I would say you should definitely give it a chance. Melee minion builds felt pretty bad in previous patches. Most of the time, players been using them as a meat shield to cover yourself and your ranged minions that was acting as real damage dealers. But now, everything's changed. With new update, melee minions should become much stronger. From now on, they no longer have accuracy rating, meaning they will always hit the target, increasing overall DPS. Unearth can now be summoned on corpses of your own minions, to be able to deal with bosses much more easily. Finally, Spectres will now have less reservation cost and much more damage. Windmount was always an interesting option to play, but the skills itself was lacking impact. I'm really hoping that after recent changes to Staggering Palm, Wind Blast, and Vaulting Impact, this class will become much more viable. Endurance Charge Warrior. This is a completely new concept, based on generating and utilizing endurance charges. With recent changes to Ancestral Warrior Totems and Warbringer Ascendancy, as well as new Fortifying Cry skill, this new concept can open a lot of possibilities for true warrior fans. Poison Archer was pretty strong class already, but with changed behavior of toxic growth that can now be used as a regular volley skill and addition of new toxic domain ability, this class can truly shine. And don't forget about new Mirage Archer that can now assist you in tough battles. Multi-Element Sorceress. In 0.2 patch, all Sorceress abilities was nerfed so much that any elemental build was literally unplayable. So in 0.3, they decided to revive Sorceress as a class. But this time in a very different way. Now, you'll be greatly rewarded by using multiple elements at the same time. With new elemental weakness, you can now lower the resistances to all elements at once. Also, new elemental infusion mechanic will allow you to boost your abilities with other elements you used recently. For example, Spark will create Nova with cold infusion projectiles. Comet can be infused with fire, creating huge explosion. Firestorm can be infused with both cold and lightning, creating truly apocalyptic scenario. Truly viable Ice Ranger build was something I was dreaming about since the release of Early Access. And Fragments of Ice is a new mechanic that was added to the game to make these dreams come true. Ice fragments will explode after short delay, dealing damage to the enemies around. Or they can be detonated using Freezing Salvo that will shoot an additional arrow towards each of them. But the best thing is the fact that there are multiple ways to land those fragments on the ground. For example, you can use well-known Escape Shot, new Ice-Tipped Arrow support skill, or even support gem like Frozen Spite that will allow all of our arrows to create those fragments. But that's not all. Snipe will now consume Freeze to deal 100% more cold damage against unique enemies, making it even more useful in Ice Archer builds. So you definitely should try it. Mortar Cannon Tactician. I'm a big fan of totems, but technically, Mortar Cannon is not a totem skill. It's a meta skill that will allow you to summon a totem that can shoot any grenade skill you like. It's a very cool addition to the class itself, but I'm not quite sure yet if you can scale its damage with totem nodes on passive tree. Anyway, with updated Cannons Ready passive skill that will provide us with +1 to totem limit, Tactician is a perfect choice for such a playstyle. Fire Warrior. In 0.3 update, Warrior got huge buffs to its fire-based skills. Volcanic Fissure now branches into multiple fissures, improving its clearing potential. They've also added new skill called Forged Hammer that you can throw on the ground, and using Warcry near it will release multiple fissures in a circle. Slam skills used inside of it will trigger aftershocks, dealing damage to the enemies around, creating flaming arena to fight. Ancestral Cry will charge up with glory when you ignite your enemies. Once activated, your very steps will trigger fissures below, boosting your damage potential to the very depth of hell. Hollow Palm Technique. This is a big one. Unarmed combat was something very special for Path of Exile fans, and finally, we'll be able to experience this in Path of Exile 2. Thanks to Hollow Palm Technique Keystone, we are able to use all quarterstaff skills without using a weapon itself. But more than that, we are able to scale our damage potential with evasion and energy shield on equipped items. Also, we got new unique gloves, specially crafted for unarmed builds. These gloves will trigger Lightning Bolt, striking our enemies around. Finally, we will be able to leech mana with elemental damage using new Walker on the Wilds Keystone. I can see huge potential for an unarmed build with multiple ascendancies. Invoker, Acolyte of Chayula, Ritualist, Amazon, or even Gemnin Legionnaire, but the one to choose is always up to you. I hope you enjoyed this video, so don't forget to subscribe and definitely check this next one.